Hi friends. Do you know what's hiding inside this watermelon? Well, it's a secret. Let me show you. Look. It's a super cute little kitty. So adorable, right? It turns from a sweet watermelon into a tiny cat pouch. Grab your yarn and hook, and let's crochet this fun project together. Here is what you will need for this project: 5-ply milk cotton yarn, a 2.5 mm crochet hook, fiberfill stuffing, and the other tools listed on the screen. I've also left links to similar products in the description below if you'd like to check them out. Here is a quick overview of the stitch abbreviations we will be using, so you can easily follow the written pattern pinned on the screen. First, we will crochet the watermelon shell. We will start with the dark green yarn. Make a magic ring using the dark green yarn. Here is how to make a magic ring. Let's name the ends of the yarn first. We have the short yarn tail and the end connected to. The skein will be called the working yarn. First, hold the short tail end. Wrap it once around 2 fingers. Then, place it over the short tail and use your crochet hook to go under the loop. Grab the working yarn and pull it through. Chain 1. Next, make 6 single crochets into the magic ring. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. Now pull the yarn tail tightly to close the ring. Then connect to the first single crochet. Make a slip stitch to finish the round. If you are a beginner, mark the first single crochet with a stitch marker, so you won't lose track of the first stitch. For round 2, chain 1. From here, we will follow this rule. Start each round with a chain 1, and end each round with a slip stitch into the first stitch of the round. To complete the round, make 1 single crochet into the same stitch where you chained 1. Here, we will alternate between 2 yarn colors. So switch to the light green yarn. To switch colors, on the final yarn over of the single crochet, pull the light green yarn through to complete the stitch. Now, work another single crochet into the same stitch to make an increase, which means 2 single crochets sharing the same stitch. Then, switch back to the dark green yarn. Here, an increase consists of 1 dark green single crochet and 1 light green single crochet. Repeat this sequence until the end of the round. Let me demonstrate again. In the second stitch, work 1 dark green single crochet and change yarn color. Work another single crochet using light green and change color again. Repeat this pattern all the way to the end of the round. As mentioned, finish the round with a slip stitch into the first single crochet. Moving on to round 3. Chain 1. Work 1 single crochet into the same stitch where you chained 1. And switch to the light green yarn. To make it easier for you to follow, I'll be color coding each stitch in the on-screen pattern. In the next stitch, make an increase using light green yarn. Two single crochets in the same stitch. Then, switch back to the dark green yarn. Repeat the pattern sequence of 1 single crochet, 1 increase, all the way to the end of the round. After completing round 3, your work should look like this in terms of color and shape. The technique is quite simple, but switching yarn colors requires a bit of extra attention. Once finished, you'll find the result very rewarding, so don't give up. Next, I will guide you through round 4. Chain 1. Make an increase in the very first stitch. On the second single crochet, change color to light green. Work 2 single crochets using light green. Then switch back to dark green. Repeat the sequence of 1 increase, 2 single crochets across the round. Let's repeat 1 increase, next, for round 5, work 2 single crochets in dark green. One light green single crochet. And 1 light green increase. And on the second stitch, switch back to dark green. Repeat this sequence all the way to the end of the round. For round 6, work 1 single crochet in dark green. Then make 1 increase. Switch to light green and work 3 single crochets. Repeat this color sequence all the way to the end of the round. 1 single crochet, 1 increase, 3 single crochets around. Next, for round 7, work the first 3 single crochets in dark green. 1, 2, 3, and switch to light green yarn. Make 1 increase. Followed by 2 single crochets. Switch to dark green yarn and repeat the pattern sequence of 3 single crochets, 1 increase, 2 single crochets to the end of the round. For round 8, work 3 single crochets with dark green. 1, 2, 3. Then switch to light green yarn. Work 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, then change to dark green yarn. Repeat the pattern of 3 dark green single crochets and 4 light green single crochets to the end of the round. Rounds 9 to 11 are worked the same as round 8. You will have 42 stitches in total per round. I'll see you again after completing round 11. Once round 11 is finished, pull the yarn loop up and cut the yarn. We have completed the outer watermelon shell. Next, we will crochet the inner watermelon lining. First, we will work the yellow section. Use yellow yarn to transition from the outer shell into the inner flesh. Insert your hook into the back loop of the stitch. For this round, we will work into the back loops only. Attach the yellow yarn. Chain 1. In the same stitch where you chained 1, make 1 single crochet. Then work 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, making 5 single crochets in total. In the next stitch, make a decrease. Repeat the pattern sequence of 5 single crochets, 1 decrease to the end of the round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 decrease. Fasten off the yellow yarn once done. Now, we will start the red inner flesh. Use red yarn for the watermelon flesh. Work in back loops only again. Insert hook into the back loop. Attach the red yarn. Work 1 single crochet in each stitch. Around. Moving on to round 14. Work 1 single crochet in every stitch. From this round, do not work in BLO. Work through both loops as normal. Rounds 14 through 16 are all worked identically. I'll see you again after finishing round 16. After completing round 16, proceed to round 17. Work the first 2 single crochets, followed by 1 decrease, and 2 single crochets. That forms 1 pattern set. Repeat the pattern sequence of 2 single crochets, 1 decrease, around to the end of the round. 2 single crochets, 2 single crochets, 1 decrease, 2 single crochets. From round 18 through round 20, continue to decrease by reducing the stitch count. The full pattern instructions will be displayed on screen for your convenience, so you can follow along easily. Feel free to pause the video here and complete these rounds at your own pace. After finishing round 20, pull a long tail of yarn and cut it. Now, sew this opening closed. To sew, insert your tapestry needle into the front loop of the stitch. Skip every other stitch and insert into the next stitch. Simply weave through every second stitch around. Pull the yarn tail tight to close. And push the center down flat. We have completed the watermelon shell with the inner red lining. Make 2 identical pieces like this. Now, I will guide you on how to make the little cat inside. First, let's make the cat ears. Start with a magic ring. As shown earlier, you can rewatch the step if needed. Chain 1. Work 5 single crochets into ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pull ring tight. From here, we won't join rounds, continue directly into round 2. This continuous technique is called working in continuous spirals. You can also join each round with a slip stitch, if you prefer. For round 2, work 1 single crochet into the first stitch. Mark the first single crochet with a marker. Work another single crochet in the same stitch. Work 1 single crochet in the next stitch, followed by an increase in the next stitch. Repeat, 1 single crochet, 1 increase. Now we have finished 2 rounds. Make a second ear piece. Fasten off the first ear. For the second ear, do not cut yarn, as we will continue working from it. Now, let's move on to the cat body. We will join the 2 cat ears together. Please watch closely how I join the 2 ears together. First, slip stitch into the first marked single crochet of the first ear piece. Chain 1. Insert hook into the first single crochet of round 2. Remove the marker. Work a single crochet here. And place a stitch marker in this first stitch. Work 2 more single crochets. 1, 2. That gives us 3 single crochets. Work 1 increase in the next stitch. In the adjacent stitch. That makes 2 consecutive increases. Now, work 4 single crochets. To prevent any hole from forming between ears, insert hook into the gap space next to the stitch. And work a stitch there. Now work into the chain stitch loop. With 1 single crochet. That completes 4 single crochets. Next, continue on to the second ear piece. Work 1 single crochet, followed by 2 more single crochets. Reaching 3 single crochets. Work 2 increases. 1, 2. Then work single crochets across the remaining stitches. 1, 1, 3. Work into the chain 1 stitch. To complete 4 single crochets. Round 1 is now complete. Moving on to round 2. Remove the marker and work 2 single crochets. One, 2. Work 1 increase. Followed by 15 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 'Then work 1 increase. And work 3 single crochets in the last 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. Round 2 is complete. For round 3, work the first 3 single crochets. One, 2, 3. Work 1 increase in the next stitch. Repeat 3 single crochets, 1 increase. Around to the end of the round. 3 single crochets. 1 increase. Proceeding to round 4. Work 3 single crochets. One, 2, 3. Then 1 increase in the next stitch. Work 20 single crochets. 1, 2, 3. After 20 single crochets, work 1 increase in the next stitch. In the remaining 5 stitches, work 1 single crochet in each stitch. For round 5, work 1 single crochet. 1 increase, 2 single crochets, 1, 2, then 1 increase. Work 20 single crochets, 1, 2, 3. After completing 20 single crochets, work 1 increase in the next stitch. Followed by 2 single crochets, 1, 2, and 1 increase in the next stitch. In the remaining 3 stitches, work 1 single crochet in each stitch. 1, 2, 3. For round 6 and 7, work 1 single crochet in each stitch across. I will meet you back after finishing round 7. For round 8, work the first 2 single crochets. Followed by 1 decrease. And then 2 single crochets. Repeat this pattern of 2 single crochets, 1 decrease, 2 single crochets to the end of the round. From round 9 to round 11, we will gradually decrease by reducing the number of single crochets. The written pattern will be on the screen, so feel free to pause the video here and work at your own pace to catch up with me. After finishing round 11, stuff the cat with fiberfill. Once stuffed, cut the yarn, leaving a yarn tail to sew the opening closed. The sewing method is similar to closing the watermelon piece made earlier. Sew the hole shut now. Once closed, embroider the facial features on the cat. Embroidering the face is very straightforward. Simply follow the visual guide. You can also embroider watermelon seeds on the back, or skip that detail, according to your preference. Now let's move to the assembly step. Use a tapestry needle to join and sew the 2 shell halves together. For the stem loop, chain 12 stitches and sew it onto the top center of the watermelon. Alternatively, you can crochet it directly onto the top. Apply a drop of fabric glue at the stem base. To make the stem extra secure, after attaching the stem, sew the button on and make a button loop closure to fasten the shell, forming a complete watermelon pouch like this. When opened, it reveals the adorable little cat inside. Thank you so much for spending time crocheting with me today. I'll see you in the next tutorial. Goodbye and happy crocheting. Bye bye.